Alright, y'all know what it's in for. We back with another one. We're gonna talk about David. That's all I'm gonna say is like real. It's gonna be a lot of trigger warnings. It's gonna get real live up in here. It's gonna get real quick. So yeah, let's get into it, man. Cause yeah, I definitely feel some type of way. I don't know about nobody else, but I definitely feel some type of way. So we gonna see what we get to. Yeah, let's get to it. Oh, and this is my boy Trap Law. No, this is Trap Moros. So burn them up, run them up. You already know how we do. Let's do this.
David update came today. There was a big day in court. I unfortunately couldn't make it to court today, but we've got a whole bunch of updates. I've been collecting all of the news sources, all of the links, all of the paperwork, and I'm going to present it to you all today in one long video. And before we get into it, folks, there's definitely a big trigger warning. There are going to be some very grisly, violent themes that are going to be discussed in this video. This video obviously concerns the murder of Celeste, the 14-year-old girl who was found deceased in the trunk of David Tesla, parked near his property. So we're going to be talking about some of the very dark and grisly details about how he actually attempted to get rid of the body. And there's been some new information come out that is going to be very chilling. So that's my trigger warning for you guys. And, you know, this video is for educational documentary purposes. We're just documenting all of this history, everything that's going on in this case, because, look, I think David's going down, but we need to document everything. We need to preserve all of this evidence just for everybody to understand and to protect the community. So this is for educational, documentarian, journalistic purposes, but I'm telling you, some of the stuff we're going to hear in this is actually very dark. So look, I've got the full paperwork. Shout out to TMZ. They've actually posted the paperwork. And look, there's a bunch of different articles. You've probably seen the posts going around on Instagram, things, you know, about the new updates in the case. You know, you might have seen stuff like this going around, that prosecutors are claiming that David bought 2 chainsaws online, and we did hear that chainsaws were recovered in the property months ago, as well as a burn cage. And it's now being claimed by the prosecutors officially that David bought these chainsaws and used them to dismember the body inside of an inflatable pool in his garage. And then, you know, people are connecting this to his old Discord messages when he said he loved watching gore videos. He was addicted to them, all this kind of dark stuff. Now, there's a whole bunch of things. There's dozens of posts with all different things going around. But what I'm going to do for you in this video, I'm going to read you the full paperwork. Then we're going to look at some of the articles. And then I'm going to look at some of the reaction on Reddit. But, you know, this is going to be a long one. I'm going to dig deep into this. There's been so many updates. I'm not going to do 3-4 different videos. We're just going to do one big video updating you, and you're going to learn absolutely everything that's in the paperwork in this video, okay? So get ready, okay? This is the background facts of the case. Basically, the state is now admitting the roadmap for the evidence that they intend to introduce at the preliminary hearing that's scheduled for May the 1st. I don't know if that's now been delayed. I'm going to find out about that. But it says the dismembered body of 14-year-old Celeste was discovered in the front trunk of defendant's Tesla Model X on September the 8th, 2025. The vehicle had been towed 3 days prior from 1405 Bluebird Avenue, which is parked approximately 400 feet from the defendant's home at 1368 Doheny Place in the Hollywood Hills. But here's where we're going to start seeing him get cooked, okay? Because new surveillance video is out, and it's been revealed publicly too, and I'll play it to you later. But it says surveillance video and other evidence confirm that David, the defendant, was the last person to drive the Tesla on July the 29th, 2025, before he left LA on a concert tour. And so it says on September the 8th.
Okay, so y'all got evidence that he is the one that drove his car last. And y'all waited for
2025. Now, okay, a lot of people saying it was Neo driving that car. Turns out, according to the prosecution, it was David. It says on September the 8th, 2025, the manager of the tow yard complained of a strong smell coming from the vehicle, presence of flies coming from it. He called the LAPD. They observed the vehicle. They opened it up, and they found in the front storage compartment the black cadaver bag covered in insects, and inside the bag they found the severely decomposed head and torso. So we already found these details about the amputations. The plastic black garbage bag beneath the cadaver bag contained the dismembered arms and legs. However, the victim's ring and pinky fingers on the left hand had been amputated and were not found in the Tesla. So the body was identified with dental records, but this is now where we're going to start seeing, based on the evidence that the LAPD has found, they're going to build up the full timeline of what they believe the relationship, the romantic relationship, confirmed, according to the prosecution, allegedly, between Celeste and David. And this is very triggering, okay? Pursuant to their investigation, the LAPD robbery homicide detectives determined that the victim and defendant met in January 2022 when she was 11 years old. They begun an adult relationship while she was still a minor in November 2023 when the victim was just 13 and the defendant was 18. Detectives learned the victim had been reported missing to the Riverside County Sheriff's Department by her family who live in Lake Elsinore in February and April of 2024. So the Riverside County Sheriff's Department contacted the defendant. They phoned the Riverside County Sheriff's Department, called David on February the 17th, 2024. So all this talk of people emailed in and said to David, you need to send this girl home, she's missing. Well, the police, not the LAPD, but the Riverside County Sheriff's Department, right, called David. They identified a phone number in the victim's phone records belonging to him, and during the call, the defendant claimed, so David said he'd last spoken to the victim on February the 13th or 14th, but said he was unaware that she was a minor or that she had been reported missing. The sheriff from Riverside advised him that the LA Sheriff's Departments were coming to his home. On that day, the defendant was living at 804 North Stony Place in West Hollywood.
So the police already knew that
the Riverside
he had
County
some
Sheriff's Department requested LA Sheriff's Department conduct a welfare check at the defendant's home. So the LASD deputies went to David's home that night at 8:15 p.m. and informed him the victim was a 13-year-old runaway. David would claim he was unaware she was a minor and had only met the victim once in person in November 2023. However, defendant showed deputies a yearbook photo of the victim that he had on his cell phone. Although he claimed to be unaware of where the victim was at the time, she returned home 2 days later. So was she in the property? Was she at the other property that was allegedly owned or rented by David during this time? This is crazy. And I think, unfortunately, this is going to be one of many examples that we're going to see where the police actually made contact with David before this tragedy was allowed to happen. The sole blame is on the person that killed this girl, allegedly David. But it sounds like...
I believe that period when the police was contacted, I think that's the period where she came back and then she was caught on camera arguing with her neighbor. If I'm not mistaken, that's the same timeline. That's the timeline when, she came back.
There might have been some failures by the authorities.
Oh, yeah, well, definitely failures by every... I'll get into that.
Where was she? Was she in the property and he just explained it away? But it's crazy. And he even showed a yearbook photo of her on his cell phone. What is that evidence of, like, oh, she's a graduate or whatever? Like, she's graduated high school or college. That's crazy. So it says, despite being informed by law enforcement, the victim was only 13, David continued to pursue her. After the victim returned home in February 2024, her parents took her cell phone away. And David drove to Lake Elsinore and paid a junior high school student in the victim's class $1,000 to give the victim a cell phone that David purchased so they could stay in contact. That is so...
All right, so then I'm going to tell you how... this is just a different perspective. Her parents took her phone. Now, for those that got kids, you take your daughter's phone, you think for a minute your daughter stops talking to her boyfriend? She doesn't. She uses her friend's phone. In some cases, she'll use her sibling's phone. Straight up. She gonna get back in contact. You took the phone. You see what I'm saying? Where I see it on this line, I'm just giving you a different scenario. She was in school like, well, listen, my parents took the phone. They don't want me to talk to them no more. I need a phone. Ooh. Well, she probably talked to one of her friends at school. And he set the whole shit up. Yo, tell a dude I'll pay him to give you the phone. And the dude was like, well, time to give you $1,000. And greedy ass little nigga. Well, I don't know what you're going to do with it anyway. But that's how I see that happened. She was the one that initiated that contact.
So creepy. And we're about to read something that's actually blown my mind. Because I actually did see this previously. It said throughout 2024.
Oh, just so y'all know, that shit ain't even right at all. Because by this point, this fucking idiot shouldn't have been answering the phone. At this point, the police told you she's 13. Okay, I'm done.
Celeste spent a significant amount of time with David, including summer weekends at his home in the Hollywood Hills, and traveling with him to Las Vegas, London, and Texas to meet his family. So,
okay, this seems to me like this might be a short video for me, because everybody's been avoiding this. Everybody's been avoiding the parents. How are you traveling on a plane? How are you traveling on a plane after 9/11? Any of my travelers out there, how are we traveling? Okay, I got something else for y'all. If you set out an Amber Alert, most airlines have that recognition. So, how did you get to, if you could use, man, if you could use just regular traffic cameras and you could catch a car, where it's going, the person that's in the car, see all of that, how did you not get her, this runaway, on camera going through an airport? I'm not even talking about international. I'm not even getting to that part. Just going to LaGuardia to go to LAX, man. How is she missing and nobody saw her go through the airport? What, did she have a mask on? Or she's in the Epstein files or something like that? Come on, y'all. Let's keep it 100. Now, for you to go out of the country, you have to have a passport. In order for a minor to be allowed to go out of the country, you must get a notarized letter from then their guardian, or that guardian must be traveling with you. Bro, this is diabolical. This family needs to be investigated, and I'm tired of y'all tiptoeing around it.
We can't. There's a lot to unpack here. All right. Took a minor to Las Vegas. That's crazy. I just got back from Las Vegas. Shit's crazy. That on its own is crazy. To London, international flights crossing borders. How was she even allowed to travel internationally to London as a minor? Who was her guardian? Who was her chaperone? Did the parents give permission? Can you just fly? Can you just traffic a minor overseas? We're talking Interpol. We're talking federal. You're taking a minor across state line.
No, you can't do that. No, the answer is an unequivocal no. Because if our government says, yes, you can do that, then that explains where all the missing kids going. They just trafficking them right through the airport, right? So, no, you can't do that. Duh. You have to get notarized permission if you are not the sole custody to travel with these children outside of the state that they live in. And that is pertinent through family court. Bro, I'm not going to keep saying this family needs to be investigated until somebody investigates this family. I'm pretty sure, just like all them R. Kelly girls, y'all knew exactly what was going on. And I don't know why everybody let them off the hook anyway. Why y'all let all of them? You knew R. Kelly was who R. Kelly was when we seen R. Kelly was married to Aaliyah. Legal documents. We seen that in the What's Up magazine, right? Legal documents. So for you to send your minor child to this man, come on, bro. Like, when we gonna start letting people that need to get, yo, man.
And I don't want to hear a single word about, oh, his family didn't know anything. During 2024, the victim spent time with defendant traveling to Texas to meet his family. So the family knew her. So it goes on to say text.
Now we getting deep. His family met the girl. So y'all still gonna sit here and act like y'all don't know that her parents knew? Y'all still gonna act like y'all didn't know that? Come on, bro. Yo, bro, if my son is 21, if my son brings a girl to me, hey, this is my girl, and I look at this girl and I be like, we get into having a couple of words, conversation, I'm gonna pull my son to the side. Yo, let me talk to you for a minute, boy. Yo, how old is this girl? Yo, you met her parents? Yeah? All right, well, we need to meet her parents. Word. Yo, matter of fact, when she ready to go, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to drop y'all off. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm walking to the door. I got to figure this out. Yo, shorty look like she like 10, B. Yo, how old is your daughter? Yo, my daughter is that. We ain't even talking like, when I approach the door, we not even talking with no, how you doing, sir? Boo, I brought your child. No, straight to the source. Yo, I got one question for you, sir. My name is this is my son. How old is your daughter? You feel me? Especially if my son is an athlete or a potential star, I'm careful about whoever is around him at this point. Or are we just gonna act like we forget the fact that this man was just about to sign $1 million, or did he sign $1 million deal and all of this? And you forgot who did this man is so. As his parent, I don't care that he's 30. I'm still gonna be like, yo, who you got around you, bro? Come on, man. We gotta do better.
Exchanges between the victim and defendant contain references to sex, pregnancy, and abortion, and the use of Plan B emergency contraceptive. That is messed up, man. So there are also explicit photographs documenting and I need to go blow my nose. Documenting and corroborating their sexual relationship. And in November 2024, defendant and the victim broke up, although they continued to communicate, and text messages suggest they also continued to have adult relations.
I'm not worried about him being cooked. I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about the parents. Somebody dig into these parents, man. Please. I bet you they got like 16 CPS cases on that house. I bet.
So it continues, all right. So it says April 2023, 2025 is the likely date of the victim's death and when all of her cellular activity ceased. The night prior, April 22nd, 2025, defendant and the victim engaged in a lengthy argument described in detail in their text messages. And again, before I go any further, I don't know how on earth this guy was even out here for 7 months. I don't know how on earth he thought he was going to get away with this. What, you've got an argument?
I'm sorry, but I have to keep a buck. I don't know what's up with out there, man. I don't know what's up with California, man. I just don't get it. Because in Long Island, you let something be in the trunk of anybody's car, bro. Famous or not, bro. You're not going anywhere. You are here. You are subpoenaed to not leave this county, bro. You're done. This dude is on tour. Come on, man.
Recorded in your text messages the night before and she just ceases to send any messages afterwards. This is so stupid that he would think he could get away with this. But anyway, it says the messages reveal that the victim was jealous.
And this dumbass creep keeps the phone. So for them to have all of this, I'm assuming. I don't know. And I'll do some digging and see if I can find it. But for what I'm gathering, I'm assuming that they got the phone records, right? So if they got the phone records, okay, they got the phone records. If they got the phone records, that means this phone definitely wasn't no burner phone. So he's a dummy there. And he done gave her a phone on his plan. So they went into the subpoena the plan, got all the phone text messages and all that crap, right? Now, you idiot, you been texting her with this. Nah, man, something's not right, bro. Something's making me seem like the 4 other part. Now, I'm not talking about the 2. We already know he was a creep anyway. Painting his nails and doing all that. We already knew he was what his character was. We're not worried about that. I'm looking behind him, okay? His mother and father, there's something wrong with them. This girl's mother and father, there's something wrong with them because where were you? Remember, we got a story from the cousin that was saying like she was with David and that was the cousin. So if the cousin knew, the cousin told his mama, come on, bro. They not going to tell me they didn't know. They not going to tell me that.
Over David's relationship with other women, as David had led her to believe that they had a future together. Celeste became extremely upset and threatened to disclose damaging information about her relationship with David to end his career and destroy his life. David's first studio album was due to be released April 25, 2025. He had an emerging multi-million-dollar career.
She said that she was going to expose him, right? Their relationship in his career and destroy his life, right? That's what that say right there, right? Well, guess what? I'm so sorry for the loss, first and foremost, because this is a child, and this child should have been cared for more, in my humble opinion. But this statement right here, what she said in this text message and wrote, she has succeeded. His career is over. His life is over. And it began from when parents and everyone that was involved, including the police, that dropped the ball and let this go y'all know, it's responsibility needs to be passed around.
Career already in progress, he had also had multiple product endorsements which were highly profitable. He ended up losing those, all as a result of this horrible decision. At approximately 8:40 p.m. on April the 23rd, 2025, defendant sent an Uber to transport the victim from her Lake Elsinore home to his house. They communicated before and during her Uber ride, which dropped her off at the defendant's Hollywood Hills home around 10:10 p.m. At approximately 10:30 p.m., defendant sent text messages to the victim inquiring where she was. Wow. So it's saying she was dropped off at 10:10, and then at 10:30, David thought he was being slick. He sent messages to her saying, "Where are you?" It says the people contend this was all part of David's premeditated plan to cover up the murder, as she was already dead by this time. Knowing he had to silence the victim before she ruined his music career, as she had threatened, and very soon after her arrival at his home, David stabs...
I say this all the time. This generation is stupid. Bro, you got to be the dumbest, but then this is just the equivalent of the YN gangbangers, you know? You're all on TikTok waving your pistols and in the car that you did the drive-by in making a music video. It's the equivalent of that. It's the same thing. It's the same thing, because it's like... You deserve to go to jail, because you definitely don't deserve to make no more kids ever again in life. You deserve death. Like, your sperm, because this idiocy should not ever be recreated again on... Whoo, boy. I mean, this is too comfortable for me, too. Like I said before in my other one, this is too comfortable. He's done this before. He knows it's too...
Celeste to death multiple times and stood by while she bled out. At no time did he call law enforcement or 911 or take her to an emergency room to save her life. Despite knowing she was dead and that her family were trying to find her, the evidence will show that David lied and claimed that he didn't know where she was. In fact, the defendant drove to Santa Barbara County immediately after the victim died, attempting to dispose of her.
They're trying to find her. They're trying to find... Are they trying to find her? Do we really think they're trying to find her at this point? She's been to the UK. She's been in airports. She's been backstage at concerts. Are they really trying to find her? The internet found her.
Her property and destroy evidence. So we now know this secret trip to Santa Barbara, it wasn't to go and bury the body. He allegedly drove immediately after to dispose of her property and destroy evidence. At approximately 11:30 p.m. on April the 23rd, 2025, he drove away from his home as he texted and called the victim's phone asking where she was. He thought he was slick. Again, these were acts calculated and planned to set up his defense within a very short timeline after Celeste's vicious murder. The defendant drove his Tesla north on the 101 freeway to San Marcos Pass Road, SR 154, near Lake Kahuma in Santa Barbara County. He returned home early the following morning on April the 24th, 2025, before going straight for a radio interview for the release of his album that week. That's crazy. We need to find that interview. That is actually... Bro. We're gonna dig up that interview for sure. I'm just taking a screenshot of this.
This guy really thinks he's in an anime. This guy really thinks he's a character. This guy really believes he's in a movie. He thinks this is a movie. He really believes that this is some drawn... Yo... Bro, I bet you, like I told y'all before, I bet you later on it's going to be a Netflix series on this dude, man. And I promise you, he got some creepy back history, I bet.
And reminding myself to go and dig into that, because that's insanity. What a psychopath. How could you possibly go to a radio interview
I'll tell you how. He's done this before. This is not his first time. The same way that old block members could blame up something and go right and do an interview with Vlad. It's the same thing. They've done this before. This ain't nothing that got them tripping. This is just regular. To him, this is regular. And I bet you the group that's around him that was partying and doing all that, that's all of what they... Everybody needs to be investigated, man. There's more to this, man. Who are the other people that were hanging around him? What are their names? Where are their families? Are they still...
we're talking this might be less than 12 hours after committing a vicious murder, allegedly. That's just insanity. What a dark, dark soul. Says he sent 2 additional texts to the victim's phone that day, which obviously went unanswered because she was already dead. After April 26, 2025, David never attempted to contact her again. Crazy, man. Ugh, I can't... So tellingly, defendant subsequently purchased tools to carry out his plot to dismember and dispose of the victim's body. See, how on earth could he have thought he was going to get away with this? It says on April the 24th, 2025, defendant ordered a shovel from Home Depot that was delivered to his home from Postmates. What the hell? It says on May 1st, 2025, defendant ordered and subsequently Amazon delivered 2 chainsaws to his home. No way. On May the 5th, 2025, the defendant ordered from Amazon, which delivered a body bag, heavy-duty laundry bags, and a blue inflatable pool to his home. Look, I don't think I'm not in the business.
And nobody said anything. Remember, all of these orders is stuff. This is real facts, right? But nobody said anything, right? He's out doing his concert thing. Why was that allowed to happen? Could it be because of those? Was like, no, we gonna get our money first. We gonna get our money first. That's what that was about? Is a money grab? Or is LA just like that? You know, you can do stuff like that. LA know you got, I mean, look, it brings me to the mind of the other situation where the little boy was found in the desert. I mean, y'all knew this already. Y'all just let a dude just chill for some years. That's what we doing? Is that what this was? I hope that's what this was. Because from all of this written evidence that y'all got right here, y'all been knew this situation was, he should have been locked up for just the relationship itself. And she'd still be here. The little boy exposed the relationship that got the money.
Business of giving out tips on how to commit murder, but by God, ordering on Amazon to your own home. Okay, he said he made these purchases under a fake name, Victoria Mendez. Like that was gonna. So he's smart enough to try and order things from Amazon, a literal body bag and chainsaws to his home off Amazon in a fake name, but they're coming to your home. So it says on May the 8th, 2025, defendant returned to the same area in Santa Barbara County. So it sounds like he actually did go back with the hope to bury the body, but didn't do it. So he returned to the very same area in Santa Barbara County, leaving his home around 11:30 p.m. He returned to the area again on May 31st, 2025. This is an isolated site off of SR 145, where the victim's identification was subsequently discovered in January 2026. Wait. It said an isolated site where the victim's identification was subsequently discovered. So they found Celeste's ID in Santa Barbara, and they said that he actually went to deliver. That's crazy. So it goes on to say, additionally, on July the 7th, 2025, David ordered and subsequently Amazon delivered a burn cage to his home under the fake name as part of his plan to...
And just so we're aware about this burn cage, we knew about this months ago when he was on tour. But nobody arrested him. No. He was just doing interviews. This is for all entertainment purposes only. YouTube, I have no idea. I'm just reacting to the documents that are here. This is all public information. And this is all alleged to me. And it's new.
Incinerate evidence. Now, you know what's crazy? Do you remember when Steve Fisher actually announced that they had found a full-blown unopened burn cage at David's property, and people were speculating, was that him planning to get rid of the body? And people were saying, absolutely no way. Why would he have an unopened burn cage at his property? Oh, it wasn't even used. I thought at the time, okay, and a lot of people, it becomes common sense at a certain point, but like, it seemed that this guy was really just ordering shit off Amazon that he thought was going to save him and help him out in this situation. And he's unfortunately left a very blatant trail of breadcrumbs that is just going to cook him, absolutely cook him. I mean, the fact, if your defense is, well, the burn cage was never used, bro, I don't even know what to say to you. It's insane. So, it says, moreover, defendant took horrifying measures to destroy and discard the victim's body. After placing her body into the blue inflatable pool to prevent her blood from spilling onto his garage floor. So that's what the pool was for. He didn't want the blood on the floor. But as you're going to find out, it wasn't such a smart idea. The defendant used a chainsaw and perhaps other tools to cut off her limbs. So that speculation that she was cut up with a 3D printed hacksaw that might have left blue plastic sounded like that's not true. Sounded like what's really happened is small blue plastic fragments that were from the blue pool, the kiddie pool, inflatable pool, was found embedded in the victim's remains. That's where the evidence has come from. He's cut through, it's very unfortunate we're even having to talk about this, but he's cut through a person and he's caught the blue plastic tarpaulin inflatable pool underneath it, and that's combined all of that material together in a way that the police have been able to get it. And thank God they were able to get it, because there's absolutely no way you're going to be able to explain this away, in my opinion. Okay. So it says the fragments were analyzed by the LAPD's Forensic Science Division Trace Analysis Unit, and an expert was able to make a physical fit match from the blue fragments to the blue inflatable pool purchased by the defendant in May 2025. In order to distance himself from Celeste, he amputated her left ring and pinky fingers because her ring finger contained a tattoo of his name and her fingers have still not been recovered. Defendant then placed her head and torso into the cadaver bag he'd purchased. He placed her limbs into a garbage bag, which he deposited into his front trunk, laying the cadaver bag on top. And for several weeks or possibly months, David left the victim's body to decompose inside his Tesla. He lied to friends, business associates, and others who noticed the strong smell of decay in and around his home and vehicle. Before leaving on his concert tour at the end of July, he parked his Tesla on the street around the corner from his home. And LAPD served a search warrant at the defendant's home, 1368 Doney Place, on September the 17th, after the victim was identified by the LA County Medical Examiner on September 16th. And inside the garage, detectives discovered evidence consistent with the dismemberment of the victim's body in the inflatable pool, which contained multiple linear cuts. Several biological samples from the garage tested positive for blood and were collected within the garage area. DNA analysis determined various samples matched the victim's unique genetic profile. Celeste blood's in the garage. How are we going to explain that? And then soon after, so they already found blood in the garage that matched the victim. On December the 9th, 2025, the medical examiner ruled the victim's death was a homicide caused by 2 penetrating injuries to the torso. So they knew that for months. Then, on January the 17th, 2025, Celeste's US passport card was found by a Caltrans worker off of SR 154 in Santa Barbara County. And so now we're going to get into some really messed up stuff. I don't even know if I should. I'm just going to quickly skim this and make sure I'm not going to show something that's completely horrendous. But okay, I'm not going to show you that passage, but what it basically says is that he has illegal videos on his phone, and in those videos, she's 13. The videos are illegal. Enough said.
That's it. That's it for me. I'm done. I'm sorry. I can't go on any further because at this point, I gotta stop. Sorry, gang. I come back to it probably later, probably never. I don't know, but it's yo. To all my G's out there, man, yo, hit me on my next reaction. I'm gonna go sit over here and go watch some of these ratchet TV over here. So y'all know what it is. Hit me up over there. This is too much for me. It's too much. Because it's like that other thing that I'm not allowed to say about, the file. It's like the same thing. It's like you have all the signs in the world and we all dropped the ball.